Hi, boys and girls, Mr. Rivera. Today we're going to talk about pop art, Andy Warhol, and the use of repetition in art. Okay, so Andy Warhol, he's an artist that we have learned about before. He is a very popular American artist from Pennsylvania, actually, and he is known for having helped create a style of art called pop art. So Andy Warhol printed a lot of pictures of very ordinary objects, as well as famous people and things from popular culture. Okay, so he did most of his artwork during the 60s. This was a very exciting time for popular culture. There was a lot of things happening, a lot of new innovations, new kinds of music, art, books, movies, and this inspired Warhol to look at art in a new way. So his art showed what was popular in American culture, what you were hearing about in news, radio, TV, and it was different than a lot of things that had been created before. So a lot of people did not really take his work seriously. So we can see two examples. One is inspired by the landing on the moon, which had happened in the 60s. And this other one is Elvis Presley, who was a very popular musician and actor at the time. Okay, so a couple fun facts. Now, one of the things that Andy Warhol is most famous for is his quote in which he says that in the future, everyone will be world famous for 15 minutes. This was quite a prediction at the time because back then there wasn't really, there wasn't internet, there wasn't computers. In order to be famous, you had to be an actor, you had to be someone who does something big. So nowadays we notice that this is more true than ever. We see a lot of people that become famous who are just regular people due to social media. You can do something, create a video where you can get millions of followers and views. But as a lot of us know, this is only temporary. Very few of these famous people stay famous. So, pretty much just getting 15 minutes of fame. Okay, so he actually began his career as a commercial artist. He would draw things for fashion magazines, draw products. Back then, a lot of advertisement was actually artwork rather than just photographs. And it made him a very famous person and also a pretty rich person. A lot of commercial artists did enjoy his work, but it wasn't considered fine art. So that meant that even though they liked his drawings, his paintings, people didn't consider him a real artist. He was very upset by that. He wanted people to know that he was an artist, not just an illustrator. So he eventually began painting ordinary objects, putting them in museums and galleries. And as we can see here, he was starting to choose objects from popular culture. So in this case, Superman, painted by Andy Warhol. Okay, so this style of art was called pop art. Pop art means that the subjects are coming from popular culture. So the things that people would hear, read about, those were the things that he would paint. Another things that we see is repetition. So he liked to paint lots of objects multiple times. One of his most famous ones is this painting here of Marilyn Monroe, who after she died, he created a couple, made a whole series of pictures of her. So this brings us to the subject of repetition in art. This is something that you see a lot of. A lot of artists do it nowadays. And originally we would see this more with advertisement. So pretty much since Andy Warhol came from the commercial art world, he pretty much celebrated and criticized people buying things, mass production, and so he applied some of those things to his art. He really wanted the viewer to rethink what art is. People usually have an impression of what art would be you would see in an art museum, and his subject matter really made people rethink about that. Another thing he liked to do was he liked to make lots of his artwork. Traditional art is based on something being scarce or not readily available, which is what's supposed to make art more valuable. But Andy Warhol was printing using screen printing, which allowed him to create multiples. So he wouldn't just do one painting, he would do 100 or even 1,000 prints of that same one. He wanted people to be able to own his artwork. And another thing that we would see was his use of repetition was something that would remind people of things they would see in billboards. So on the bottom left, you can see here, you can see an advertisement that uses repetition. You see the same image over and over and over, and that is more likely to get it stuck in your head, to make it stand out. So he was taking these things and applying them. So you were seeing the same thing you see on a billboard in an art gallery. Okay, so eventually he actually created one of his other famous paintings, which was his Campbell soup. Andy Warhol loved soup. He pretty much, that was all he ate for the longest time. And so he decided he wanted to paint them. He actually spent a lot of time copying the cans. So kind of hard to see, but every can there is a different kind of soup. He actually ended up painting 32 cans, and each one is slightly different. Another thing that he was very fascinated by was famous people. So a lot of his portraits were famous people, actors, presidents, leaders, and he eventually started creating a celebrity image of his own. So he wanted to make himself a celebrity, so he made himself the subject of a lot of his paintings, along with those other famous people. Okay, so today, Andy Warhol is still remembered as a very important artist. He helped make pop art important, and people, because of him, people started looking at art differently. They started looking at things that you wouldn't consider art to be art. You know, things that we view in TV and movies, you know, Mickey Mouse, would you think he's art? But he is, because here's a painting of him. Campbell soup cans. Would you think that was art? Probably not, but now you're looking at something that is in an art gallery. Okay, so what you guys are going to do is you are going to create a piece of art that is inspired by Andy Warhol. So that includes repetition, bright colors, and in some cases you can keep it pretty simple. Okay, so to do the assignment, you actually have two options. The one is you can do your artwork by taking a picture. I will include a link in the assignment that will take you to a website where you can create a Warhol filter, and you would then submit that to your Google Classroom. If you don't have access to it, or if your computer does not allow you to upload to the website, you can draw a picture that shows repetition. So I'm going to show you guys a little video that is going to show you how to access the website and upload your picture. So here's my example. One of the things I mentioned in it is that if you don't want to take a picture of yourself, you could do what I did, where I took a picture of my drawing from last week's assignment. You can take that same picture, upload it to the website, and create your Warhol inspired drawing or photograph. Okay, so I'm going to show you guys how to use the website to create a photograph in the style of Andy Warhol. First thing you need to do is take a picture of yourself. You can do it on the phone, or you can do it on your computer, or if you're using a tablet. So on a computer, you know, if you go click on the start, you click on camera. Right now I can't because I'm using a camera for the Zoom, but you click on it, take a picture. It would usually save your picture in the camera roll, which is in pictures. So if I click pictures, there's usually something called a camera roll, and that's where your pictures would be. Okay, so you'd want to click the link that I provide in the assignment, which will take you to this website called imgonline.com. And what you're going to do is you're going to upload your picture. Okay, so choose file. Okay, I'm already in the camera roll, but once again, it's pictures and usually in the camera roll. So I already took some pictures prior. I'm actually gonna do this one. If you don't wanna take a picture of yourself, you can do what I'm doing and upload a picture of your drawing, your self-portrait that you did last week. So the effects, you don't need to worry about them. You want 2x2, which will be 4 pictures. Saturation, I haven't really played around with it, but you could try that. and then you're going to click OK. So it takes a couple seconds. And once you have it, you can open it, or you can just download it right away. I'm just going to download it. And I'm going to open it. And there is my my picture. So if you are on the computer, you can actually edit it even more. If you don't like the colors, you can play around with it. So I'm going to click here, edit. I'm going to play around with the filters. Filters, and you can play around. There's a bunch of different ones. So I like that one. So I'm going to go ahead and save it. Okay. And if you decide to do the Andy Warhol drawing, pretty much you're going to pick one object. You're going to draw that object 4 times, and each box you're going to color differently. I'm going to actually show you guys a video for that as well, so you can see how to do it. I'm going to show you how to take one drawing and trace it 4 times so that each one looks exactly the same.
Okay, so I'm going to show you guys how to create your Warhol style drawing if that's the way you choose to do it. So you're going to want your piece of paper. You want a smaller piece of paper. In my case, I'm using an index card. This is where you're going to draw whatever you choose to draw, and we're going to trace it 4 times. So what I want to do is break it up into 2 sections. So fold it 1 time, okay, and then fold it a 2nd time. Okay, so you should have 4 sections. All right. So here's where you're going to draw your whatever your object, design, whatever. Because Andy Warhol did pop art, popular culture, so you might want to think about something that is very popular. Something that could be from cartoons, could be social media, could be whatever. So for mine, I actually already drew one. This strange logo, I have no idea what it is, but I'm sure you guys do. Okay, so what I do is I am going to place my card under my paper, and I want to make sure that it's lined up. Okay, and then if I push down, it might be a little hard to see, but I can actually see it. So whatever you draw on your card or on your small piece of paper, you want to make sure that you do it with a black marker so that it'll be easier for you to see. Okay, so I have my first one down, and when I do my other ones, I want to make sure that I try to line them up so that they're in the same spot. Okay, so now I have my 4 designs, 4 logos, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to color it in. So when you're doing this, each box should be different colors. So if I choose blue and green for this one, I want to choose 2 different colors for this one, 2 different colors for this one, 2 different colors for this one. You can also do a pattern if you want. So maybe whatever colors I do here, I do the opposite. So if this is red and that's green, then I would do the opposite here. And there you have it.
Okay, so grading criteria. So this is what I will be grading things on. Pretty much I'm looking for repetitions. So that means I should see at least 4 of the same object, design, or drawing. It should be done in the style of pop art. So one of the things you can do is pick things from popular culture. For this assignment, I don't mind if you trace a picture of something you see online, a cartoon character, a logo, that could be used for this assignment. And if you end up drawing your picture, your artwork should be neatly colored in. If you do not follow these criteria, your work will be returned to you ungraded. I will include a comment telling you what you need to do to fix it in order to get a better grade. Okay, so the assignment will be due on Friday. I'll be uploading this on Monday. When you are finished, you can upload your picture to Google Classroom, or you can send it to me via email as well. If you have any problems, please contact me. I would actually suggest you send me an email rather than send me a comment, private message on Google Classroom, because it's hard for me to see those always. And if you are drawing, my suggestion is take your time with it. Maybe spend one day coloring each box, just because I know it can get tiring to color an entire paper in one day. So please take your time, break it, stagger it, do one box every day, and make sure that you are doing your best. All right, so I will talk to you guys next week when we introduce our next assignment, and hope you guys have fun.